Peace and love, gamers and players. I'm Colorwind, and this is my gaming landscape, where I talk about the games I've been playing. I've got 12 games on the docket for the month of August 2021, so let's get right into it. A lot of fighting games to start off with. First off, let's start with Guilty Gear Strive. Now, I think the last time that I talked about this game, I said that I was not really enjoying myself. This is still sort of the case, unfortunately. The way that the game is set up, specifically the lobby system, is still a pain in my ass. It still pisses me off, and I've still had a lot of problems with it. I've had the game crash on me while I was in the lobby, kind of more like a soft lock than crashing per se, but still. And I've had a lot of times where I was caught in a loop where it was constantly searching for matches, but it wasn't finding anything. Even when I was either in the lobby system or searching for a match during training mode. But with all that being said, I am finding myself really having fun with the combat system when I play as Angie. And this is before the patch. I actually haven't played Guilty Gear Strive since the patch came out about a couple of weeks from now, as of this recording. They gave Angie a whole bunch of cancel moves. I don't know how to exactly say it, but he has a move that normally goes into a couple of other options. It's almost like a Rekka, but now he can cancel out of the initial attack and just do the follow-ups. I haven't even played the game since that has happened yet, and even before that, I was having a whole lot of fun with him. I was having more fun with him than I was Soul Bad Guy, which is the main character of the game, essentially. Something about the mix-up game and just having your opponents guess in this environment where attacks and hits feel like they do more damage and they mean more as a result. That type of gameplay style in that environment is a lot of fun to me. And I still feel like the mechanics of Guilty Gear Strive are messed up. And, well, not messed up, but dumbed down, although intentionally, so that they can make way to a combat system where, again, each individual attack feels more weighted and like it does more damage and it matters more. I still feel like the mechanics have still lost something from Xrd and X2. And even though this isn't my favorite Guilty Gear, I still am enjoying it a lot. I just wish that there was more single player content, because there's really only arcade mode, which is kind of disappointing, and like mission mode, which is a bunch of trials for each character. I wish there was something more than that. And then I wish they would just throw out the goddamn lobby system and start over and make something else, because for as good as the netcode is and how solid connections are when you're fighting someone online, the lobby system almost makes that irrelevant because it is so goddamn terrible. It really prevents me from playing the game. That's the reason why I haven't played it since the recent patch, because I don't want to deal with that. Moving on, Street Fighter V Champion Edition got some new characters, Oro and Akira. I've yet to try Oro. I wanted to, but I just couldn't find the time. I did try Akira though, and she's fun. She feels a little redundant to me though, because she reminds me a lot of Lucia, who's been in the game for about a year now. She actually feels a bit like a combination of Lucia and Karen, however you want to pronounce it. But regardless of the fact that maybe her character is a bit of a repetitive character, she's still a lot of fun. And one thing that is quite unique to her is how much of her gameplay involves air juggling, which makes sense because that was a very big component of the game that she used to be a part of, Rival Schools and Project Justice. She is a crossover character with those games, which is a Capcom fighter, so it's not like a huge big deal that she's coming from that game. It's not like it's a crossover with a different company. But it is cool because Capcom has not talked about Rival Schools or Project Justice in decades. So it's fine. It's fun to see them even acknowledge that the game existed, let alone put a character from that series in the game. But yeah, she's a lot of fun. I enjoyed playing as her. She still doesn't solve the problems that I have with Street Fighter V, which is that the game feels very restrictive in what you can and cannot do. But that is never going to get fixed. And I talked about this before from having played the game constantly and talking about it on Gaming Landscape. That's never going to get fixed. That's how they wanted the game to be, and that was a mistake. But oh well. Hopefully in Street Fighter 6. Moving on, I only played a little bit as Samurai Shodown, the remake, because they released Baiken as a DLC character. Baiken as a character from Guilty Gear, which I just finished talking about. Oddly enough, she's not in that game right now. She's from Exard, and all the promotion for it is saying that she's from Guilty Gear Exard rather than the new Guilty Gear Strive game. Very funny. But regardless, Baiken is in Samurai Shodown, and she's fun. I like her. With the little bit amount of time that I got to play as her, didn't stream or anything like that. I've played maybe an hour of her. That's all. From what I played, she's fun. I enjoy her. I'm not very good with her though. But regardless, she has essentially all her moves here, with some exceptions, specifically these supers, because Samurai Shodown is not a game with multiple supers. So that's really where a lot of things are missing, but a lot of her normal special moves are here, and they look good and look great. She looks fantastic in the game, as a matter of fact. And I like that she's there. She fits the cast of Samurai Shodown extremely well. And it's just cool to see something like this in the game. Moving on, I played some Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate. I'm taking a break from Mortal Kombat X right now at the moment, and I jumped back into 11 because I loved 11 and I just had a hankering for it. Unfortunately, my experience recently has been kind of boring because I've been trying characters that I haven't played in the game yet. And I decided to pick up Sub-Zero because I used to main Sub-Zero in the very first game, and everyone loves the ninjas, but I specifically avoided Scorpion and Sub-Zero for a while when Mortal Kombat 11 came out because I wanted to try different characters instead of defaulting to, you know, the two poster boys. I tried Scorpion out already, and I found him to be pretty boring. But now I've gotten to Sub-Zero, and I'm playing through his character towers in the Towers of Time, and my god, this guy is dull. The variations in this game for Sub-Zero barely matter, and the reason is because his buttons, his standard buttons are so good that all the special moves barely matter. Like he really, all he really needs is his ice ball and his slide. And the things that he can do with that is insane. It is way too easy to get a 30% combo with this guy. You can do a string and then follow it up with a slide and meter burn it, and that's 30%. Like I think the string is back 1, 3, 4, and then you cancel that into slide and meter burner, and then that's 30% easy. And then if you do it 3 times, the meter burn slide is a crushing blow, which means it turns into like a 37% combo. This guy gets damaged way too easy. It's ridiculous. And as a result, it's like, why would I do anything else? Even his other combos, there's not even that many of them, and it's because why would you do anything else? He does have some things like he has a lot of 50-50s when you look at, you know, what you can do. And then a couple of his abilities that you can add on, the extra special moves, gives him even more of a 50-50, like the oh god, I can't remember. They're all called something ice, but it's the one that comes out from the ground. It's like I don't know. It's like an icicle coming out of the ground once he hits the ground. That's pretty good for giving a low. If you a standing low, if you want to mix them up, He has Rising Ice, that's one for extending combos, although it kind of sucks. And then there's like, I don't know, like all the other ones don't even matter. I mean, there's the one that makes the ice ball like even better because it can go through projectiles and it's faster. You don't even really need that though, because the setups you can do are so good that who cares? You don't. This is the thing on the character. The variations don't matter. All you really need is like Rising Ice, even or not Rising Ice, but the Stalactite move for covering yourself lows, and you don't even really need that. Even Rising Ice, you don't really need for extending combos because Sub-Zero has a normal that launches enemies right up into the air and is cancelable into the ice ball, which means they go launching up in the air and then they get frozen, and then you can just take your time doing whatever fucking juggle combo you want to do. And then it's most likely gonna do 30% or something like that because Sub-Zero's insane. Like, it's so weird. He's a good character in the game, but because he has like this one trick that works so well, he's boring. I guess I could say that he's a little more interesting than Scorpion, who could just mix people up to death with his multiple kicks that he has, like the forward 3 and forward 4 and just the 4 by itself, standing 4. But Sub-Zero is still like really boring to me. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to continue playing as him because I want to get through the rest of his character towers, but after that I'm probably going to pick someone else almost immediately because I don't like him. He's boring, man. I guess it's good if you want to win. Moving on, I've also been playing some Injustice 2. I've been kind of learning how to like level things up and how the armor system works and leveling your armor and, you know, getting rid of stuff, because I never really got into that when I first played Injustice 2. I just kind of played as the characters and then played the ones that I liked and learned how to play them, and that was it. And at first I was like, please give me the skins, which the game refuses to do. The game still refuses to do, so I've kind of given up on that. Injustice 2 still feels like a step back from Mortal Kombat X to me. And in some ways, it kind of feels even worse than Injustice 1 now to me. I think my problem is the way that the buttons work. Before, you had like a light, medium, heavy special, your special power, and then you had meter burn and I think throw is, well, no, throw technically can be done with just normal buttons. So so it's basically a 6-button fighter with the stance switching, which has always been in Mortal Kombat games, and it's NetherRealm games rather, and it's pointless. But that's just how it is. This game is set up the same way, but in a way it's not. Specifically, the heart attack feels more like a dust button from Guilty Gear Strive rather than a heart attack button. Because left and right and down all have specific commands now. There's specifically a knockback, a bounce, and a sweep, kind of like how it is in Dust. It doesn't feel like just like the heart attack of the game. And as a result, you kind of have a fighter that's only 2 buttons. It's like light and medium, because combos typically don't start with the heavy button. Again, it feels more like a special proprietary button. At least in Injustice 2. It didn't feel that way in Injustice 1. And that kind of bugs me. There's something about the way that game plays, and there's so many things that are like on rails, like, okay, this is how you do this is how you do that, okay, you're gonna extend the combo, that means you bounce them off against the wall. And it just feels a bit formulaic. And then you add on the way that characters get stronger with the gear system, and the game feels off. I feel like there's a bunch of ideas in Injustice 2 that seemed good on paper, and a lot of them were expanded upon and made better in Mortal Kombat 11. Not everything. Gear system is better in Mortal Kombat 11, but there's still issues, specifically with the augments. But in Injustice 2, there's too many things in that game going on that are attached to things that don't need to be attached to. Not to mention that from a story perspective, they don't make any sense. And then also what they ended up doing to the mechanics of the game make the combos in that game feel very restricted, as well as uninventive. Once again, it's like, okay, there's kind of a flow to how you do things, and I didn't get that from Injustice 1. I definitely didn't feel that in Mortal Kombat X, even from my memory. And I didn't play a whole lot of Mortal Kombat 9, but even Mortal Kombat 9 had way more options than Injustice 2 feels like. But you know, I'm probably gonna go ahead and keep on grinding on stuff, because I am still kind of enjoying like the multiverse things, which is kind of like Injustice 2's version of the Towers of Time, except once again not as good. And I'll probably go back to it off and on. I already like maxed out my Superman and my Batman, and I believe I'm working on Supergirl right now, so we'll see. We'll see about that game. I don't know how much I'm going to be coming back to it, but yeah, fighting games, man. That's it for fighting games. Something else that is multiplayer though, and I played a little bit on stream, was Rocket League. That game is still fun. It's exhausting, but I have to remind myself to play Rocket League more, because it's such a great pick up and play game. It's exactly what I think a lot of people will play like Apex Legends and Fortnite like. And I think Rocket League is my version of that game, because I'm not that great at it. I don't care though, because just the base mechanics and gameplay of that game are so much fun. I always enjoy myself whenever I play it. I should stream it more. Although I will say, maybe I should only stream about maybe a half an hour to 40 minutes of it, because it's exhausting playing that game, and I need to pace myself. Moving on, also on stream, I played Ghost of Tsushima. I do know that the director's cut came out, and I did get the director's cut content, but I actually have not touched it yet. I actually have not touched Ghost of Tsushima since the beginning of the month. And at the beginning of the month, I pretty much went around and did a whole bunch of side quests, and had a great time actually doing that. I found myself getting more powerful. Now that I have the grappling hook, I feel like I can do more. And even though in the story I've gotten to a point where I can go into the second island now, I still feel the need to go around the first island and kind of like clean things up and do what I can. I might do that still when I stream the game again, which because of some plans that I have, I'm not sure when that's gonna be. I'll get to that towards the end of the video.
Okay, let's help someone.
But Ghost of Tsushima is really fun. I don't know when I'm gonna get into the director's cut content, because I'm still playing the base game. I'm slow as hell when it comes to playing this freaking game. But the more and more I play it, the better and better it seems to get, even though it's not really grabbing me to the point that it's like, I gotta keep playing, I gotta keep going. But every single time I come back to it, I always have a good time, and I always enjoy myself, and I always find something more about the game that I like. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, I went back to it and tried to do some extra missions, and all I managed to do was find all the chests, so there's not a whole lot to say. It's Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. I'm just trying to 100% it now. I also went back to Far Cry 4 because I saw that the completionists do a video on it where he completed it 100% and he did his review. You know, he did his thing. So it made me want to play some Far Cry 4. So I went in there and I did some stuff, and that's about it. I don't know if I'm gonna go back to it. It was just kind of like a quick thing that I needed to have satiated, because you know, you ever like see someone playing a game and like, oh, I want to play that. I have that game. Let me just go and play it, and then you just go and play it for maybe an hour or two, and you're like, okay, I've had my fix. That's what that was. Now, for the brand new games that I played 3 brand new games, all of them thanks to Xbox Game Pass. First one I'm going to talk about is Boyfriend Dungeon. So this is a dating sim / dungeon crawler, and it's a weird mix, and it's kind of janky. I feel like the dungeon crawling aspect of the game has not been fleshed out that well. Like the mechanics of the combat specifically feel very janky and not thought out. It feels like it's maybe missing animations or something. But I mean, there are stuff to it. There are different weapons and different abilities that you can earn, and attacks, and I mean, it's fine. It's fine. It's the dating mechanics that feels a little more thought out with all the characters that are involved. It's a bit of a bizarre concept. The people that you date are also the weapons that you wield in the dungeons. It's interesting, and then some of these people are, you know, better than others. I only played about, I think, 2 hours of it, so I can't say too much about it, but I think I want to come back to this game. I'm just curious. There's something about Boyfriend Dungeon that, even though I would say that the gameplay is not really anything to write home about, there's something about it that makes me want to come back and see what else it has to offer. Next, I played Hades, which is a game that I've been really wanting to play since it came out last year on the Switch and PC. I do not have a Switch, and my PC cannot run it, so I'm happy to now be able to play it on my Xbox. And it didn't really do anything for me. It's a roguelike, and I knew that. I'm not really into roguelites, but I thought Hades would be different for me, and it's not. I like the combat system that it has, which is kind of like a Diablo kind of RPG kind of thing. But ultimately, the roguelike sections, or elements rather, to the game, where after you die, you start off in the beginning, and then all the rooms are kind of randomized and everything as you try to get out. That kills it for me, because I don't feel like I'm progressing. I know there's things that this game does to make me, that's supposed to feel like, no, you're doing stuff. There's ways that you can win, but it's not enough. I feel demoralized when I come back to the very beginning of the game, and I'm like, okay, here we go again. I don't like that about roguelikes. And I don't think I ever will. And that the whole base concept just rubs me the wrong way. That is going to be a huge hurdle for me to get over when it comes to roguelikes, because at this point, I've tried a few roguelikes: Hades, Dead Cells, Binding of Isaac, and that's always the problem. I don't like starting back from the beginning. It bugs me, it demoralizes me, and I don't like it. And I don't know if I'm ever going to get over that. Finally, the last game that I'm going to talk about, and the one I'm going to talk about the most, is Psychonauts 2. I have been so excited for this game. I cannot believe that it actually exists. I loved the first Psychonauts when it came out. I bought it the first month that it came out on Xbox, original Xbox. I don't know what the hell everyone's problem was back then who were not buying that game, because it did not sell well back then. It's a cult classic now, but back then that game sold like trash, and I don't know what the hell y'all were smoking back then, but it was great. I loved that game. but it didn't sell well, and we waited so long for a sequel that we thought was probably never going to come, but it did, and now it's here, and it's the game to beat this year for Game of the Year, in my opinion. Psychonauts 2 is everything that I wanted in a sequel and more. The story, oh my god, the story is so great. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to spoil anything, but this game goes in hard with its themes and its relationships with all these characters, how they're related, how they connect to each other, the different problems that they go through. You're going into people's minds and you're dealing with all the different hardships and mental illnesses and anxieties and depressions and all these things that they go through, and some of them that they don't even go through that you have made yourself by screwing up. And it is so good. It is so smart. I can't talk too much about the story because I don't want to spoil it, but god damn it, it's so fucking good. What's even better though is that the game mechanics are excellent. They've polished them up from the first game. There's still a little bit about the mechanics that feels like it's not quite as tight as, say, a Mario game, but nothing that would like prohibit you from enjoying yourself. Got your jumps, double jumps. Lock on is now on the right thumbstick button, so you have all of the bumpers and triggers for using your psychic abilities. Raz also now has a dodge mechanic, which is really nice for combat, which is way more in depth and way more challenging than the first game, which I enjoy. I will say that I wish that the way that the psychic powers were done, that there was some way that I could remap them in a way so that I can just kind of turn some of them off and on with like the D-pad and then keep them on buttons, but I'm not keep the more action-oriented powers on the buttons, on the triggers and bumpers. But at the same time, I noticed that there are more psychic powers that are action-based in this game than there are buttons on the top of the controller. So there was really never going to be any other way for you to do this kind of thing without more buttons. I imagine that maybe there'd be a better solution on PC, but I haven't played the PC version, and I don't know what the buttons are like there. So I don't know. The way that the button layouts are now are fine. It's just more of a nitpick because I wanted some way to be able to have all of my action-oriented psychic powers available to me at once. But there's too many of them. I will say some of the powers from the first game are missing. The confusion one, the invisibility and a shield. The shield one I especially miss because the combat in this game is a lot harder and your only line of defense is the dodge now. So I would have liked to see that power come back. Not to mention that invisibility and the confusion attack would have been useful as well. Although I will admit that the confusion attack, the way that it was done, it probably would have needed to be redesigned because it was kind of too slow to be really useful, especially in the way that the combat is now. But other than that, the game is also big and expansive, and there's so many things that you can do, and the game dulls it out to you gradually so that you don't feel overwhelmed. It also gives you ample time to do things. It's just paced so well, and nothing feels like it's overdone. The collectibles, there's enough variation to the collectibles so that it doesn't feel like you're just doing the same things over and over. And there's not too many. There's not like 100 of this thing. No, it's kept to a pretty reasonable amount of, like, you know, there's 20 here, 20 there, 15 of this thing. You know, it's they're good amounts, they're varied, they're well placed and doled out and not anywhere too super crazy or superfluous. And the different themes of all the mines are so good. There's nothing, I would say, as crazy as, say, like the Milkman level from the first game. But at the same time, I would still say that most of the levels are better designed than that one was. It's just thematically, I don't think there's anything as cool as the Milkman. But that being said, I know I've been like kind of vague with my description of Psychonauts 2, and it's just because it's so new and the story is so good and ties into a lot of the levels, which is also why I hadn't really described the levels. There's a lot of spoilers if I were to do that. It's kind of hard for me to talk about. I do want to do a review for this game. I don't know if I'm going to be able to have the time now. Now that I've finished the game. I've finished the game 100%. I did it in 4 days roughly. Wednesday, and then I 100% the game on Sunday, and then Thursday and Friday I barely touched it because I had work to do. But Wednesday, the day it came out, and then Saturday and Sunday I definitely played the hell out of it. It was fantastic. I think it was about 20 hours to complete and maybe another 5 to finish 100%, something like that. But you know, I know I'm being relatively vague. If I manage to figure out a way to write a review that does the game justice, I will. Otherwise, maybe I'll do a review for it retrospectively. Maybe I don't know. I'm just spitballing now, but maybe it would be in my best interest to go back to Psychonauts 1, even though I played it earlier in the year, but to do a review of that and then Psychonauts 2 to have more of a comparison. I haven't really figured out how to do video reviews yet. That's my issue. So this might be the only time I talk about Psychonauts 2 until the end of the year. We'll see though. But regardless of how I end up covering Psychonauts 2, it's fantastic. It is currently my game of the year, and I don't see anything beating it. So go play Psychonauts 2. If you have Xbox Game Pass, it's fucking free. Go play it. I played it on the Xbox One. One thing I will say, load times are a bit much. I had the game crashing me twice. Other than that, it works fine. That's it. It's just longer load times. Otherwise, the game is fantastic. And that's all I played the past month. Thank you for watching. September starts the Halloween season, since we've apparently decided that it needs to be 2 months now. Is this because Christmas is basically 2 months long now too? I don't know. Anyways, I plan to launch my Long T's horror playthrough show, Exposure Therapy, and play some scary games, so be sure to check that out. Otherwise, I don't have any brand new games I want to play on the horizon. In case you haven't noticed, a lot of the really big titles have been pushed out of 2021 and are in 2022. So, like, even something like Far Cry 6, which I am kind of interested in, I'm gonna wait until I have a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X. So, I literally am not gonna be buying any more new games this year. So we'll see what I end up playing next month. If you like what you saw, like the video, share it on social media, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and click the notification bell to be alerted when I release new videos. I think I'm going to make my gaming landscape a monthly series now, but we'll see. I'm experimenting a lot with my content right now, so nothing's set in stone. With that said, peace and love, gamers and players. Colorwind out.